start at the beginning. My name's Rita Schunk. I live between Mount Horeb and Black Earth. And he had kind of alluded to it already. How did I end up giving a talk about the dugout? A small tavern closed 31 years ago. Well, my current husband, Jim, who's sitting there, and I were finally getting around to going through the last of the boxes we found in a pole shed at Lake, Wisconsin. My son and I had inherited this when my father-in-law, Erling Offerdahl, passed away. Erling saved almost everything. And I say that, but so did Ike. So the idea that I'm the family historian is just by default of having a lot of boxes of stuff. But anyway, we found a box up in this pole shed at Lake, Wisconsin, and it had user manuals for almost every power tool Erling ever owned in his life, I'm sure. Well, my husband Jim was finally getting around to going through that box not that long ago, last fall, and he was gonna wean it down to the tools that we were pretty sure we still had from Erling. And he found this 1958 Verona Hardware calendar. And by the way, their phone number, 15, in case you need to get a hold of them. But I don't save everything. So I contacted Verona Area Historical Society, got a hold of Jesse and said, hey, I got this calendar, I don't really want to throw it in the recycle bin. He's like, oh, no. So then it was a very quick conversational jump from that calendar to the dugout. Erling and Ike Offerdahl, everyone knew her as Ike. They owned and operated the dugout for 34 years. They took it over when their son was about 4 years old. It was located at 163 Paoli Street, just down the block. Raise your hand if you were ever at the dugout.
Wow! Oh my goodness! Oh my God!
Okay, I think there's maybe 5 of you that weren't. You totally missed out. I'm just gonna say that. Maybe you were just too young. I don't know. And not only do I have a lot of original documents in that binder, but also in the binder are a number of the envelopes the documents came in. So that was kind of interesting. Postage has gone up a little bit. So I really want to, before we get into the history, I want to show you a little bit more about my connection. So here's a limited family tree. So John Carl Kress married Marjorie Burge, and they had Ike. And she married Erling Offerdahl. I'll get more detail in a minute, but I'll mention now that both the Cresses and the Offerdahls, as you saw in that trivia game, owned the tavern on Paoli Street. But first I'm going to talk a little bit more of my connection to the dugout. So after the Offerdahls had the dugout for about 23 years, turns out they were just hitting their stride, their son John and I married. That was in 1980. And we had a son. He's actually sitting over here. He's now married and has 2 kids, and his older son is almost 4 years old, so kind of full circle. While I was pregnant with Eric, I helped Erling tend bar for some home Badger football games. Those Saturdays were really busy because in addition to the regulars, there was a group of people from Monroe. We all called them the Monroe crew. They would stop at the dugout on the way to the game. So if it was an early game, the dugout would open early and Ike would be making hamburgers at 9 o'clock in the morning or whatever, you know. So I was helping Erling bartend. And so I'm thinking my son here was maybe their youngest customer because he was like in utero. But sadly, my employment came to an end when Erling had to compete with my growing belly because those areas behind the bar, they weren't very big. Erling and I both had bellies, and mine was getting big. Maybe Eric's youngest customer distinction comes from because his first stop after being born in a Madison hospital was not our home. It was the Dugout. Ike and Erling, we dropped John off because he was going to the university, so we dropped him and his seeing eye dog off at the university after they came to the hotel or to the hospital, and I was discharged. And then, so it was little baby Eric and me and Ike and Erling in the vehicle, and they were like, "Are you hungry? Have you had anything to eat yet today?" And of course, as a new mom, I said, "No, I haven't had anything to eat yet." And so that's where we went, was to the Dugout. I laid how old? Very young Eric on the bar top, and Ike made me a grilled cheese. No, grilled cheese was never on the menu, but I knew I liked it, so that's what I got. Then we took Eric home. And our home at that time was on Lincoln Street, right across from the police station, the little 3-bedroom ranch there. So now, let's get to some Dugout history. So I have some documents, original documents, and they date back to 1945. So I guess the first one here, now this is actually typed on typing paper, that thin onion skin stuff. So John Carl Kress, which would have been Ike's dad, purchased the tavern from Fred and Anna Wenger for $8,000, including the equipment. At this point, the Cresses had been married for 26 years. They agreed to pay additional money for the stock goods at wholesale price, so it was a working tavern at the time. This was all stated in this agreement. The date on it is January 30th, 1945, and to finance this, John Carl Kress and his wife Marjorie, maiden name Burge, took out a mortgage with the Bank of Verona for $4,000. They listed equipment. Some included cash registers, 6-foot by 6-foot walk-in cooler, 8 bar stools, 2 booths, 2 tables with 10 chairs, and some other things. And then there was a handwritten version of the agreement as well. So I'm not exactly sure if they hand wrote it first and then somebody typed it up or what. And we have the stamp recording the agreement with the Dane County Register of Deeds. The Cresses apparently called it the Spot Tavern. The only reason I'm assuming that is because Jesse and I both saw an ad for the Spot Tavern that was owned by the Cresses in 1947. That's 2 years after they bought it. I'm not sure what the Wengers had named it. Did you want to talk about what additional you found out?
Well, this morning, I was looking through a newspaper. Oh, sure. It's not a ton more, but this morning I found...
Hello, here's an update on what we learned just before that meeting. According to Carl Curtis's 1997 Verona history book, Ole Week actually owned the tavern before Fred Wegner and sold it to the Wegners in 1940. Ole Week was also the Village of Verona president from 1967 to 1971 later on.
So we now have, as of this morning, one more owner going back, hot off the press, of a book written 27 years ago.
Breaking Verona news. You heard it first right here. So does anyone know what the Wengers called it? Okay, so we'll go with what we found. Just a side note, John Carl Kress was from Lancaster, Wisconsin, and Marjorie Burge became Kress, was from Potosi, Wisconsin. I noticed on the documents too that the notary was Alexander Miller Jr. One of the Millers was the notary. Then the satisfaction, that's what that is, I think. The satisfaction of the mortgage happened in 1947, and the Cresses took out a new mortgage in 1950 because something else happened that year. I noticed A.D. Miller and A.R. Miller were witnesses, and J.L. Miller was the president of the Bank of Verona when this was satisfied in 1950. Something else that happened in 1950, the Kress's daughter Ike married this guy named Erling Offerdahl. Nice little wedding photo. And another side note, the farmhouse where Erling grew up, the white farmhouse, and used to be White Barn, it's kind of in bad shape right now, is still between Verona and Mount Horeb on 18151, right on the highway there. So that was 1950. Then 4 years later, in 54, the Kress's mortgage on the tavern was again satisfied. I do have the envelope, and the stamp was 3 cents. A year later, in 55, Ike and Erling had their son, John.
There we go.
So that is Ike and Erling with John on the left, and the right-hand picture is little baby John with Ike on the right, Marjorie in the middle, and Marjorie's mom on the left. Then in 1956, so a year after John was born, approximately, John Carl Kress died. Mrs. Kress received the original deed back, and Mr. Kress was removed from the deed. Now there were red stamps on the bottom of the original deed. I looked it up, and these were federal revenue stamps used to show the amount of the tax based on the value of the property. So on this deed, there was a $4 stamp, two $2 stamps, a 50-cent stamp, and a 25-cent stamp, and a 5-cent stamp. So that totals $8.80. Marjorie Kress lived in an apartment above the tavern next to the apartment, because there's 2 of them upstairs, where Ike, Erling, and their son lived. These are just pictures. That's Marjorie and the dog Harbor in front of one of the apartments above the dugout. Harbor was named because he was born on the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. Thank you. And that's it. Picture of Erling in 1962 in the apartment upstairs too that Ike and Erling lived in. A little side note here, in 1957, not that long after Ike's dad died, Ike and Erling did have another son. I don't know how many people know that. He would have been my age, but he died in infancy. So, on to the liquor license. That's what you came here for. I couldn't find documents transferring the tavern from Ike's mom to the Offerdahls. Don't worry, I'm sure I have them. When I find them, I'll give them to you, Jesse. But I just couldn't find them. But I do have this liquor license. It's for Erling Offerdahl and the Dugout. It says right on there, so we know that in '59, when Ike and Erling took it over, it was called the Dugout. So this was the first license. It was 1960 to 61 for the Offerdahls. I noticed that Harlan Dalk was the clerk of the town of Verona. He signed it. Then I have a whole. I had every liquor license, every operator's license, every cigarette license. I only kept the first few and the last ones. But I do have an individual operator's license for the bartenders that helped Erling, and they are in this order: Floyd Lemire, Donna Zerbakken, Gerald Vincent, Oscar Diefendorf, Kenneth Frederick, Mary Vincent, Robert E. Miller, Walter Vollenweider. They were all in the 1960s. And then in the 1970s, Donovan Crone. I never knew his name was Donovan. I thought it was Don. And Billy Gust. So I have all their licenses still. So now I found some random pictures from the Dugout. They don't have dates on them. Interesting, so this guy right here obviously doesn't want to be shown at the dugout, okay? I don't know what he was guilty of, but maybe not supposed to be there. The gentleman behind Erling in that top photo, I believe is Bob Iverson, I think is what it said on the back. And then, what's the deal that Erling is kissing a gorilla? Anybody know why he kissed the gorilla? Okay, I don't either. I don't know when it happened. Okay, so now I'm just gonna give you a few more of my memories of the dugout. My memories of the 13 years I was literally related to the dugout are probably not as numerous or as scandalous as some. Because I was a newlywed, then I was a new mom, all the while having a full-time job and helping my blind husband through undergrad, then law school, then establishing his law office. But here they are, in no particular order, some memories. Ike was the cook. Before then, she was part of Signal Intelligence Corps during World War II. She served in the Pacific Theater from 1943 to 45. Erling was the bartender. He was a master mason in the Verona Masonic Lodge and was active for more than 50 years. He also had a 7-Up delivery route. Now, this was before I knew Ike and Erling, so does anybody know when he had the 7-Up route? Okay, I'm going to make up a story right now. Please feel free to share it, and then we'll just make it fact. Here's my idea. I have nothing to base this on. I'm wondering if he was a 7-Up delivery man to the tavern when the Cresses owned it, and he met this young, cute woman called Ike. And that was the end of his 7-Up delivery days.
Sounds good.
All right, spread it around town. It's going to become fact. Okay. Okay, some other random things. And we should have time at the end that you can share yours as well. Friday was the fish fry, complete with Ike's, I believe, famous salad bar. Saturday morning, and often into the afternoon, was the board meeting. That's what Ike and Erling called it. That's what we all called it. It was a group of regulars that discussed everything. When the weather was warm and sunny, I'd always wonder if they all shouldn't be mowing the lawn or something. Now that I'm older, I do appreciate they prioritized relationships over the lawn that would really always be there. Erling did run a family-friendly bar. Any language more foul than shit or damn or any fighting would get you kicked to the outside. Spaghetti on the board was a thing for a while with Ike that she served at club meetings, where she had a board. I never actually saw it, but she would describe it to me. She had this board that was specially seasoned, or I don't know, I'm sure no noxious chemicals were on it. And she would literally do spaghetti and meatballs on it. And then she'd put it in the middle of the table and you'd kind of pull it over. It was a fad. Does anybody remember spaghetti on the board?
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Thank you. And so I know a lot of clubs met at the dugout. What were some of the clubs that met at the dugout? Optimists, I knew that one. JC's.
Oh wow.
Were there cards played, like euchre? I seem to remember that from somewhere. Okay. So, and speaking of clubs, we up at the Lake Wisconsin pole shed again. In the corner of the pole shed that was Erling's workshop, we found a plaque that's sitting over there. It's from the Sugar River Riders Snowmobile Club to the Offerdahls and the Dugout for 22 years of membership and service. So there was a club they supported. Does anyone, besides the people at this table right here, Does anyone know, okay, behind the dugout was a 2-car garage, and there was an entire floor with windows above the garage. Does anyone know what happened? What was going on in that very large room above the garage? Anyone besides me and those people? Put your hand down, Eric. Okay, well, Ike's dad, so John's grandpa, and he always said that they told him that what was up there was my late husband's when his grandpa passed. But he had, it wasn't a still. No, it wasn't. It was a woodworking shop. It was a beautiful, large woodworking shop, and we still have a lot of the tools and supplies that were up there. We still use them. They made tools really well, and Eric just said it was extremely well furnished and so large and nice area to work. The biggest thing probably that we still have from that is a good-sized table saw, sturdy as ever, dependable as ever, and we actually have it in the garage at our house, and we still use it. They made stuff to last. Their only grandchild, my son Eric, had his first Kit Kat candy bar at the dugout, and he still likes them. When John was growing up at his parents' place, he had this John Deere pedal tractor with a little trailer behind it, and it had an umbrella on the tractor with a John Deere green and yellow canvas umbrella on it. And John used to ride that around the dugout parking lot when he was growing up. And then when Eric was little, he would ride that down at Grandpa and Grandma's dugout in the parking lot. And then now Eric's 2 kids, one's almost 2, one's almost 4, they're just starting to ride it now. So that little John Deere pedal tractor has been around. Okay, so some more of Eric's memories. So that's Eric drinking at the dugout on the left. This, I love this picture of Erling. Eric was helping him tend bar. So, and then the next one, I think is him helping mow, maybe. Yeah, and that plastic sign with the metal backing that's on the side of the mower, that's one of the things that Eric kept. So he didn't bring it with him, but he does still have that. And my husband just reminded me, I'm gonna lift this with one hand, maybe. Up in the workshop, this was one of the many tools, and I'll put it over on the table.
Can I walk it around while you're talking about it?
Can you demonstrate how it's used?
I have no idea.
Okay, you put this against your chest.
Oh, I didn't know I was going to be doing this.
And you put a drill bit in
okay.
here, and then you crank it, and you use the force of your body. So that was kind of the nature of some of the woodworking tools in that workshop. Let's see, so when Eric was a bit older, he remembers Grandma Ike would grill up a chicken breast for him for lunch a lot of times. And when he was little, littler than that, if Grandpa Erling had Eric down at the bar when he was real little, he would turn the TV to either Mr. Rogers or Sesame Street above the bar. And I don't know that any of the bar patrons ever said you need to turn the channel, because if that's what Eric was supposed to have, that's what happened at the dugout. The chicken breast, though, I don't know, Eric, did it have kind of a hamburger seasoning on it a little bit?
Essence of?
essence of hamburger.
Most likely.
The chicken breast would be grilled, of course, where I would do all the hamburgers, so. So then, now, and we do have almost 2 hours of video, which we will not show 2 hours, that'd be crazy. But in June 1993, after 48 years of being run by Ike's family, including 34 of those years running it with her husband, the Dugout closed forever. Oh, thank you. The last fish fry was June 25th. So who was there for the last fish fry? No. You guys. Apparently you didn't know. So now I have some random last fish fry Friday photos. And then we'll show some video. So this is with the retirement cake. The next one, I think, is a photo of the building. That's what it looked like on that last Friday in 1993. Okay, who is this guy? He got the last order of fish.
Gary Canaldi.
I thought it was Gary Canaldi too, but it doesn't look like him. It doesn't look exactly
I
like him.
don't think it was Gary.
It looks like
No, it does look something like him.
Does he have a brother or something?
He's from Chicago.
When I was rewatching the video, I did think that I heard some patrons talking about this guy and saying that, I believe, it was hard to hear on the video, but I believe what I heard was that this guy had never been in the dugout before. He just wanted a fish fry, and he was the last one. Eric actually, I think we'll see it in the video, 10-year-old Eric was going around taking video, and he caught video of this guy, and then later on when he went in to talk to Grandma as she was, cleaning up the kitchen, she was like, well, who was it? And they were like, I don't know. And Grandma was like, go back and ask him. But I don't think you ever did, because you were 10 years old.
Yeah.
So there you go. Let's see what else we got. Okay, this is the area on the left. That's where the waitresses were. That's an area kind of right behind the dining room. And then on the right, that's the door to the walk-in cooler. That 6 foot by 6 foot cooler that was still there and operating, mostly. This would be Ike's view of the kitchen when she had her back to the grill and the fryers. Erling's domain. The old cash register, we got pictures of that. Eric waiting to wash more glasses. So just to Eric's left was a little device that was used to wash glasses. And Eric, that was his job when he was down there. He loved, washing glasses for Grandpa. So I think he was just waiting. And then this is the dining room that was next to the kitchen. My late husband, John, is right there. Thank you, Jesse. And he was talking with friends. And then there's one more of Eric entertaining people at the, now we have some video. I'm just going to kind of tell you the snippets that I think we're going to see. Jesse was the final arbiter of what you're going to see. But I think you're going to see walking into the last Friday fish fry, comments from patrons on that last Friday, the bar menus, notice the prices. I think he might have on there John and Eric's thoughts, memories about the last 34 years. And then the video of the last Friday served. And possibly he included the moment where Ike takes off the rubber gloves and goes, I'm done with the fish. So let's enjoy a Cliff Note version of the last moments of the last fish fry. And then
Friday night too.
Years.
On a Wednesday night.
To give you some idea, the last time we were down there was Frankie's Valley and the Four Seasons were headlining. That was a while ago.
When she comes down here tonight, she had her own little carnival quick.
Not quite 20 years.
Party. She might be. Come down.
Okay, Sarah, what's your favorite part about being at the dugout? The candy. All right, thanks.
I'm glad to meet you. You've got a lovely daughter and an even finer son-in-law.
And Rita, that's his wife, and Eric, their son.
Oh, that's it. That's a third generation. That's this place in the cottage, he's going all the time. One New Year's Eve, your grandfather and I left the dugout at 2:30, right into another party with my brand new Cadillac. And it was a nasty, nasty night, and the Cadillac just sort of rolled over, and your grandpa came up on my lap and he said, if you kiss me, you're in a lot of trouble.
Aging Dale Meyer.
And that's the truth. Dave Burglar had his little, holding up the guy that's younger than him. Little car, running around up full control on the driveway. We locked it up against the building.
Winnickies have spent almost all of the 30-some years that Ike and Erling have been here, and we're real glad. Appreciate it. Good friends. We're gonna miss it.
Congratulations, you put up with it. I remember 3 specific things. Number 1 was New Year's Eve and New Year's and morning following New Year's Day. I always used to like to come down here early and get up while you guys were still sleeping in for some reason. And I come down and find all the streamers and confetti and everything and have a good time doing that. I also remember the day that I got married the first time, and we had the big tent set up out and back, and all the picnic tables, and all the partying and so forth, and basically how everybody in town showed up. And what's the third thing I remember? The third thing I remember is standing behind the bar, right about where the island and the edge of the bar come together, and just leaning against there and visiting with everybody. I'd come down there on Friday or Saturday nights, and then after I got old enough, I'd stop and stand there after I came home from dates. So anyway, I remember that, and I hope everything goes well for the next few years.
Okay, Eric, what's your favorite thing about Grandpa and Grandma's bar?
Well, I think just working down here. Yeah, helping them out. They were down there carrying. How many you got right here?
Yes, good, good. Is that good?
That's dinner.
There it is.
Eric, there was a bunch of people singing.
Time I have it on. Did you ask that guy what his name was? No. Go back and ask him.
Here. Okay. And this is the end. See?
She's through.
I'm
Big
through.
end.
Just keep talking.
All right, there we go.
So then, do you have a short
I got
video?
yep, of the
So
board
this is short video from the next day. It was the Saturday board meeting, and it was pretty much the same guys, and some would sit on one side and some would sit on the other. And kudos to these guys, because I think they were all there Friday night. So this was Saturday morning.
For the commission, it will be the Navy depots in Pensacola, Florida, Alameda, California, and Norfolk, Virginia, along with a raft of training facilities.
How you doing?
Hi.
Talk to him, he's really good at it.
No, you don't talk to him.
He was a radio personality.
I'm in trouble with the law. I can't be
once.
seen.
He got fired a bunch of times, and I hired him.
Department. And I'm stretching myself up there a little bit. I just saw his tape.
Jeff, how are your kids? Babies, how old now?
6. Don't ruin that. He's got a camcorder.
You still at Tuna?
Yeah, don't look at me for too long with that purple face.
First of all, I thought you had it turned down.
What, me?
No, me.
What do you want? The camera's on. I know it's on. I can see that little red picture's on there.
Yeah, this is what it looks like at the beginning of the day.
Well, this is what it looks like on Saturday mornings after we get the fires cleaned up.
And then the last clip is the last thing. Do you want me to play that?
Okay, just one second.
Sure.
So the last day in business, though, was the following Wednesday, because that was June 30th, and that day at midnight is when the liquor license ran out. Didn't think I'd get emotional about it, but my late husband, John, Ike and Erling's son, he wanted to make sure that his dad served him the last beer just before midnight. So I think these might be the last few moments of Wednesday night.
Yeah. And the very end is a little dark, but listen really hard. You can hear what's going on. It's pretty clear.
Smile, you guys. Yeah, you already got us. Yeah, I'm here again.
They got the names up there and Elizabeth Aguilar.
What if I take a picture of the camera?
Yeah.
Jeez, that's bright.
Oh, you better have that chrome polish. They got all over the ground.
Erling, we're going to send you off right. Yo! Little sign up that says it's on the floor.
Well, one is mom's.
One is, oh, I see. Excuse me. A little sure crowded back here tonight.
I like the chorus.
And I'm tired.
Don, what you gonna do? Something like that. Lloyd, maybe about 10 years ago, what he did. Probably be
He was running that before it even.
The dugout is closing for good. History's Rob Starbuck reports on the night.
There are always a lot of laughs here, always have been. Erling Offerdahl, owner and barkeep, is usually the brunt of the jokes. Dick here's a dugout regular, stopping by to tip a few for 39 years.
It's not because of the people, or it's not because of the place.
See what I mean about the jokes?
I told these fellas a little while ago I was going to write my memoirs in a couple of years, and then I'd be around to see them because they'd want to pay me not to publish.
Oh, does Erling have memories? He and wife Ike bought this place back in '59. Back then, a glass of beer was a dime.
There you are,
A bottle, 2 bits.
Got you on there.
Dugout's known far and wide for its Friday night fish fries, and thank Ike for that, but no more fish for her, nope. Gonna miss those Fridays?
It's going to be nice that I can go out and eat.
Guess not. Ike and Erling are retired. The place will be sold, apartments and offices will take up the space, but no one's thinking about that now. No one wants to say goodbye.
I always considered you my friends.
It's really more of a friendship thing than it is a customer thing as far as I'm concerned.
And that's why this bar, where there's barely enough room to turn around, was so successful.
Happy retirement. I mean that sincerely.
There's Jack Scar.
On the night, for Rob Starbuck of UISC News 3, Verona.
Sorry. Nah.
You gotta go out here and
It does pretty good.
shut these windows and that's the official.
You don't want to crank up the jukebox for one last Old Lang Syne?
Yeah. That would bring the neighbors up. I think we've got all Lang Syne up. No, I guess we haven't got that on there.
All Lang Syne?
Yeah. No, we've still got Easter Parade on it. Okay, we're officially done.
So now you know they never had Auld Lang Syne on the jukebox. What kind of bar is that, anyway? All right. So a mere 2 weeks later, on July 14th, 1993, there was a big auction held, and I have a bunch of footage of that too. We won't bother showing you that. And although they did sell most of the items, Ike and Erling kept quite a bit. So when I figured Eric was old enough that we could make decisions that we wouldn't later regret, although I had no idea I was going to give this presentation. I should have taken pictures of it. We picked out an online auction place, a local place, that very cool, wonderful owners. And we took all the rest of the dugout stuff and it went on an online auction. And except for a handful of things that Eric and I saved. So I have pictures of some of them. So Eric has an old Milwaukee lamp, the wooden Pabst sign. We have a couple of Schlitz tap handles. Some of this stuff is up here, some of it's not. There is one of the Schlitz tap handles. The other one actually is working at Eric's house right now, so because he homebrews. But the Schlitz tap handles we found wrapped in shop rags in a box at the Lake Wisconsin pole shed in that workshop area of Erling's. Now, why he hid these two, almost naked ladies on the globe in shop rags in his workshop, someday I get to ask him. Between Eric and I, he has some metal trays, and so do I. This is from Potosi Brewery. We have it there. I have a Hams and a Schlitz one that we have there. We have the Budweiser clock, the Schlitz neon open sign. Let's see. I saved a couple bottle openers because we use them, you know. And we have a few other things, but that's pretty much it. But the memorabilia isn't the Dugout's legacy. The Dugout's legacy is the people who visited and the relationships that were formed. I have one other Dugout item, and until days ago, Eric didn't realize what was on the back of it. So, anybody realize Dugout had a business card? I have it. And does anyone know what's on the back of the business card? Eric didn't even know until I told him a little while ago. So this is what is printed on the back, and I'd like to end with this. The bartender knows. He knows all our sorrows. He knows all our joys. He knows all the girls who are chasing the boys. He knows all our troubles. He knows all our strife. He knows every man who ducks up from his pipe. If the bartender told all he knows, he would turn our friends into bitterest foes. He would start forth a story which, gaining in force, would call all our wives to sue for divorce. He would get all our homes mixed up in a fight. He would turn all our bright days into sorrowing nights. In fact, he would keep the town in a stew if he told 1/10 of all that he knew. So when out on a party and from home you steal, drop in for a drink. The bartender won't squeal. And this is a picture of Ike and Erling 2 years after the Dugout closed. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. So, Rita, are you up for some questions or comments? You said.
I don't know that I know anything. I just told them everything I know.
I guess that was, well, does anyone have any additional stories about Ike or Erling or the dugout or memories they wouldn't mind sharing for the group? It's always kind of fun to hear. Ruth, you used to go there.
Yes, we lived just up the street, so it was convenient. And our daughter worked there on fish fry nights. But anybody remember the delicious broccoli salad that Ike made?
Yes.
It was so great. She would not share the recipe. I asked my daughter to get it. She said no. So
I don't have it.
A few years later, I saw her when she wasn't feeling too well. She was sitting in the car in Miller's parking lot, waiting for whoever was driving her to come out. And I said, Ike, is it time for you to share your recipe? And she said, sure, I can give it to you. And I wrote it down. I have it on a little Post-it note. It's broccoli, steamed or parboiled, dill, lemon juice, and green olives, and then mayonnaise or Miracle Whip. It was just the best salad, and it was always on the menu, and no one else, she must have invented it, because, anyway, that's one of my fond memories of Ike.
And if anyone needs the carrot salad recipe, on the video, somebody asks her, hey, I love this carrot salad and now I can never have it again. So can you write down the recipe? She's like, I'll just tell you, get your pen and paper out. I'll just tell you right now. And she proceeds to just, of course, it starts with like, get 5 pounds of carrots. I suppose you could, pare it down, but that is on the 2 hours of video I have. I remember that.
Did anyone know the waitress's name who shows up in so much of this video? And she was the one who said to Eric, go get the guy's name. Anyone remember?
There were a lot of Fish Fry Friday waitresses over the years. Yeah. I don't remember.
I have no idea.
Okay. Trish. Do you remember her last name, do you?
She's Trish Roman now. Yeah.
She's Trish Roman now? She still live in the area, do you know?
Yeah.
Oh, I wish we could have gotten her here. Because, yeah, she was in a lot of the clips.
I think you should try to find her phone number, call her up and go, I'd like 3 pieces of fish with fries and the salad bar. It's included, right?
Another waitress was Kelly Gibson. Our kids grew up playing in the parking lot every Friday night. Wyland kids. No, Erin's our daughter.
Which Erin?
Erin Wyland. She was in your class in school.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Erin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we have one of the bar stools.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because Jesse was like, do you know where any of the bar stools are? I'm like, I don't know, they could be anywhere in the world.
Jim has one, Jim Gibson, and
Howard Gust has.
Does anybody have Erling's? Because Erling's was different. It was behind the bar, and it was very plain. It wasn't like the other ones.
So, quick request. Make sure you put right on the bottom that they're from the dugout. So if your future descendants have them, because people often come to us with artifacts, they don't know where they're from. So everyone who has one, tell them to write. The guy who's got 4, can you ask him if we can have one? Or did he install them? Is he?
He built a new house, so he just showed them to us, and he built a bar downstairs.
Oh, they're actually in use at the bar. Oh, okay, so you probably don't want to rip one out. Have it right on the bottom though from the dugout so everyone remembers. Yeah, thanks y'all. Yeah, because he mentioned one of them, Erling's actually went up to the area around his.
Well, we sold Erling's on a garage sale. Sorry.
Okay, you didn't know we existed.
Somebody who knew the dugout bought it. It's fine, but I don't remember where it went. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if anyone can convince someone who has one to donate, we will have a ticker tape parade in your honor. And there's two. Other memories from the dugout you'd like to share for our time capsule? Anyone else color? Oh, Debbie.
Well, I worked at Carnes for a lot of years, and we spent a lot of lunches there. We couldn't drink because we had to go back to work, but we had a lot of lunches there and a lot of Friday night fish fries. And Carnes, you know, when the weather got bad, Carnes never closed, except for one day they closed early. And Billy Gus is my uncle, and his wife Barb worked at Carnes, and her and I, like, oh, they're closing Carnes. Oh, we got to go celebrate. So we snuck out the back door and went over to the dugout, and we proceeded to have a good afternoon. The guys, my husband and Uncle Bill, finally met us down there, and I don't know, somehow when we were walking home, we ended up doing angels right on Highway 69 during the blizzard. But we had a good time. I remember that very well.
The dugout did bring out the childlike spirit. So.
Anyone else got some memories to share? Oh, you got one too.
Yeah, every Saturday, Jim Schmidt, I don't know if any of you remember the lawyer, we used to make a cheese run down to Monroe. Anyway, we come back and we bring some cheese in. Well, he bought some Limburger and we couldn't find it, and it laid in the back of his trunk for about a month. We brought it in, and Erling right away goes, "What the hell is that?" It's Limburger. Jim says, "I gotta wash it off, it's got all the mold on it." So he's in the bathroom there, gets it out, and it's just like warm butter. And Ike comes down, and she does an immediate turnaround and goes upstairs. And Erling said, "I would have known that, I would have had you guys bring Limburger in every day."
That tracks. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, I lived up about 6 doors up from the presses, is what I remember. That's when I was young. And I delivered newspapers, and I had to go there, and the dog Harbor was outside. And I said, "Is he bite?" She goes, "No, just reach in and pet him." I reached in and he chewed my arm.
Last chance to tell a story in the time capsule. Yeah.
Are you saying last call at the dugout?
Touche. Great. Well, Rita's going to hang out here for a bit. Come look at the artifacts. Come look at the pictures. I do, before everyone mixes up, I want to get all family members to stand next to the artifacts. In fact, come up right now real quick, because once I say the meeting's over, everything gets chaotic. Let's do a round of applause for Rita and family. All right.
Nice job, Rita.